Walk onto almost any used car lot in America this week and look at the SUVs sitting way in the back, the ones with 2 price drop stickers already slapped on the windshield. That is exactly what I did on Saturday at 3 dealerships about 10 miles from my shop. I counted 14 of them, and every single one was built before automakers decided an SUV needed a turbo that starts giving trouble around 90,000 miles, a screen that acts up when the weather gets cold, and a transmission repair bill that can climb past $8,000. The salesman walked right past those SUVs like they were invisible. Instead, he guided an older couple toward a crossover priced around $44,000, with cloth seats, a tiny 3-cylinder turbo engine, and an entry height so awkward that the woman had to grab the door frame with both hands just to get inside. The moment I saw that, I knew this video needed to be made. I have been working as a mechanic for 23 years. I watched SUVs go from simple, honest, family vehicles into overpriced rolling computers that can drain your wallet before they even make it out of the driveway. The SUVs I am about to show you are the kind I would actually recommend to my own mother. Easier access, simple engines, the smooth pull of a real V6, fewer unnecessary electronic headaches, and designs made for real drivers instead of showroom brochures. Today, I am showing you 5 extremely affordable SUVs that almost everyone is ignoring right now. Yet each one has the potential to outlast a brand new SUV from the dealership, while costing roughly 1/3 as much, and I saved the strongest pick for the number 1 spot. Because from a mechanic's point of view, this model is one of the smartest used SUVs you can buy for a driver over 60. So stay with me until the end. If you enjoy content about cars, technology, innovation, and smarter choices for buying better, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. We are very close to reaching 1,000 subscribers, and every new subscriber helps this project keep growing. Here, you will find videos made to show what is truly worth it in the automotive world, with no fluff, no hidden advertising, and always focused on useful information for anyone who wants to avoid bad buying decisions. So, if this content helped you in any way, subscribe now, turn on the notification bell, and follow the next videos. Your subscription may seem simple, but it makes a huge difference for the channel. Thank you for being part of this journey toward 1,000 subscribers. Taking the 5th spot is an SUV that most used car shoppers barely notice. People walk right past it without giving it a second thought. But the second-generation Ford Escape, built between 2008 and 2012, came with either a dependable 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine or a smooth 3-liter Duratec V6. Last spring, a customer named Carl stopped by my shop. He was 67 years old, recently living on his own, and wanted a vehicle that could easily carry his grandson's hockey gear without spending more than about $5,000. I suggested he take a look at a 2010 Ford Escape XLT with the 2.5-liter engine. It had just over 102,000 miles on the odometer and was listed for around $5,500. He bought it that same day. Since then, he has driven nearly 14,000 miles. Over the course of 12 months, the only unexpected expenses were a new battery and 2 oil changes. When he came back last month, he told me it was the easiest vehicle he had ever owned to get in and out of, and that alone made it worth every penny. That is exactly why this Escape deserves more attention. Under the hood, the 2.5-liter Duratec belongs to the same engine family found in vehicles like the Ford Ranger and the Ford Fusion. There is no turbocharger, no complicated direct fuel injection, and no expensive modern technology waiting to create a surprise repair bill. Instead, you get a naturally aspirated engine with traditional multi-port fuel injection and a timing chain designed for long-term durability. What really makes this SUV stand out is when it was built. It came before Ford shifted heavily toward the EcoBoost lineup, back when reliability and mechanical simplicity still came first. Because of that, maintaining one of these Escapes is often far less expensive than owning many newer Ford SUVs. According to RepairPal, this generation earns a reliability rating of 4 out of 5 stars, with average annual repair costs estimated at roughly $650. In my own shop, though, I regularly see owners spending closer to $375 per year when routine maintenance has been kept up. If you are thinking about buying one, pay close attention to 3 areas before handing over your money. First, inspect the rear subframe and its mounting points, especially if the SUV spent its life in a state where winter road salt is common, since rust usually starts there first. Next, check the throttle body. Around 90,000 miles, carbon buildup can begin affecting performance, but cleaning it is usually an inexpensive fix that costs around $90. Lastly, take the vehicle on a thorough test drive and make sure the automatic transmission shifts smoothly between second and third gear without hesitation or harsh engagement. One piece of advice I always give is to skip the hybrid version. If the high-voltage battery eventually needs replacement, the repair can easily cost around $4,300. On an affordable used SUV, that simply does not make much financial sense. So who is this Ford Escape really for? It is an excellent choice for anyone looking for an affordable SUV that is easy for drivers over 60 to live with, offering comfortable entry and exit, a practical cargo area, and ownership costs that stay reasonable year after year. On the other hand, if you regularly tow more than about 3,500 pounds or you live somewhere that experiences long winters with frequent heavy snowfall, there are better SUVs designed specifically for those demands. In fourth place, we have the SUV that helped Honda become a major force in the crossover market. Yet today, most buyers under 40 walk right past it without realizing what they are missing. I am talking about the third-generation Honda CR-V, built from 2007 through 2011, powered by Honda's extremely durable 2.4-liter K24 four-cylinder engine. A few months ago, a retired nurse named Diane came into my shop. She was 70 years old. Her husband had passed away 2 years earlier, and she was still driving their old Honda Pilot. The issue was that the rear hatch sat too high, and using it every day was becoming harder than it needed to be. Her budget was around $9,000, so I pointed her toward a 2010 Honda CR-V EXL with about 88,000 miles, leather seats, heated seats, and an asking price of roughly $8,400. She bought it right away. 18 months later, she had already driven close to 22,000 miles. During that entire time, the only repairs were an oil pan gasket for about $175 and a set of brake pads. Nothing else. That 2.4-liter K24 is, in my opinion, one of the strongest four-cylinder engines Honda has ever built. The same engine family was also used in the Honda Accord, Honda Element, and Acura TSX. With 190 horsepower, it has more than enough power for daily driving, while keeping the design refreshingly simple: multi-port fuel injection, a timing chain, no turbocharger, and no direct injection. Paired with the 5-speed automatic transmission, this engine can run for an incredibly long time. I have personally seen several examples go well past 280,000 miles with nothing more than regular maintenance, quality oil changes, and filters replaced on schedule. But what makes this CR-V especially useful for older drivers is its practicality. The doors open almost 90 degrees, which makes getting in and out much easier. The seat height is about 19 inches, so you can slide in naturally without dropping down into the seat or pulling yourself back out. Another advantage people often forget is the visibility. The front pillars are still fairly slim compared with newer SUVs. Many modern crossovers create huge blind spots, but this generation of CR-V gives you a clear, open view from the driver's seat. When parking, pulling out of intersections, or driving through narrow streets, that difference matters right away. RepairPal gives the third-generation CR-V a reliability rating of 4.5 out of 5 stars, one of the best scores in its class. Average yearly maintenance and repair costs sit around $410. In my experience, many owners stay closer to $300 a year when the vehicle has been cared for properly. Before buying one, there are a few things you need to check. On all-wheel drive models, start with the rear differential fluid. Honda's real-time AWD system uses a specific dual-pump fluid, and it should be changed roughly every 30,000 miles. A lot of previous owners skip that service. Next, check the air conditioning compressor. If it needs to be replaced, the bill can quickly get close to $700. Also, start the engine cold and listen carefully. A brief rattle can come from the VTC actuator. If it only lasts a few seconds, it is usually not a major concern. But if the noise continues longer, plan for a repair of around $410. My personal advice is simple: look for the EXL trim when possible. The leather seats make getting in and out easier, and the power-adjustable driver's seat adds real comfort, especially for anyone with a sensitive back. So who should buy this CR-V? Anyone who wants Honda Pilot reliability in a smaller, easier-to-manage size. Anyone with a tight garage. And any driver who values great visibility more than unnecessary horsepower. But if you often drive through mountain roads with the vehicle fully loaded, those 190 horsepower can feel a little limited at times. If recommendations like this help you, subscribe to the channel. Every week, I show you overlooked used vehicles that can be much smarter choices than what most buyers are chasing. Now let's move to third place, because from here, this list gets even more interesting. The number 3 spot is not just another crossover. This is a true body-on-frame SUV, engineered for hard work and built to last long before SUVs became fashion statements. There is a reason Toyota kept this generation on the market with very few changes for so many years. They got the formula right from the very beginning. I am talking about the 4th generation Toyota 4Runner, built from 2003 through 2009, powered by the legendary 4.0-liter V6 engine. A couple of years ago, a retired construction contractor named Frank stopped by my shop. He was 73 years old and still loved his old Chevrolet Tahoe, but climbing into it was becoming more difficult every year. His daughter convinced him to ask for my opinion before buying another SUV. He had a budget of around $13,000. I found him a 2007 Toyota 4Runner SR5 with the 4.0-liter V6, rear-wheel drive, and about 134,000 miles on the odometer. The asking price was just under $12,000. The moment he settled into the driver's seat, he smiled at me and said he had forgotten how comfortable an SUV could actually feel. 2 years later, that 4Runner is now approaching 161,000 miles. During that entire time, the only money he has spent beyond routine maintenance was for a new serpentine belt and 2 oil changes each year. That has been it. The 4.0-liter V6, known as the 1GR-FE, belongs to the same engine family found in the Toyota Tacoma, Toyota FJ Cruiser, and Lexus GX. Producing 236 horsepower, it delivers more than enough performance while sticking to a proven recipe: naturally aspirated power, multi-port fuel injection, a timing chain, and an aluminum block fitted with durable cast-iron cylinder liners. Backing up that engine is Toyota's 5-speed A750E automatic transmission, the same tough gearbox used in several of the company's most respected trucks and SUVs, including certain Land Cruiser models. That drivetrain combination is one of the biggest reasons the 4Runner has earned such an outstanding reputation for long-term durability. Underneath the body sits a genuine body-on-frame chassis. Years ago, this was the standard design for serious off-road vehicles and pickup trucks, before many manufacturers shifted almost entirely toward car-based crossovers focused on city driving. RepairPal gives the 4Runner a reliability rating of 4 out of 5 stars, with average yearly repair costs sitting around $500. In my own shop, well-maintained V6 models often cost much less to keep on the road, typically closer to $300 a year. I have even worked on a 2005 model that surpassed 340,000 miles while still running its original engine and transmission. If you are thinking about buying one, inspect 4 key areas before making a decision. First, check the lower ball joints. Early models were included in a factory recall, so make sure that repair was completed. Next, crawl underneath and carefully inspect the frame around the rear spring mounts. If the SUV spent years in states where road salt is common during winter, rust can become a serious problem in that area. A heavily corroded frame can quickly turn what looks like a bargain into a very expensive mistake. Also, test the power rear window. It is one of the 4Runner's most useful features, but the mechanism can become unreliable as the years go by. My recommendation is to look for an SR5 with the V6 and rear-wheel drive. The V8 models sit a little higher, while the V6 already provides outstanding durability and more than enough capability for the vast majority of drivers. Who is this 4Runner perfect for? Anyone planning to tow a small camper, people living in rural areas, or drivers who care far more about long-term reliability than squeezing every last mile out of a gallon of fuel. However, if you have a small garage, its overall length of about 16 feet can become a challenge. And if fuel economy is your highest priority, keep in mind that the V6 typically averages around 19 miles per gallon in combined driving. In second place is the SUV I would buy for myself if I retired tomorrow with a budget of around $15,000, the Lexus GX 470, built from 2003 through 2009. And before you say a Lexus has to be expensive, give this one a moment. That exact assumption is the reason some of these still fly under the radar on the used market. Last year, a retired airline pilot named Jim came into my shop. He was 69 years old, and after 4 decades of climbing in and out of cockpits, his knees were starting to remind him of every single year. His budget was about $15,000. I found him a 2008 Lexus GX 470 with roughly 112,000 miles, leather seats, heated seats, 3 rows, and an asking price of about $14,300. He signed the papers that same day. 3 months later, he sent me a message I still remember. He said it was the most comfortable vehicle he had ever driven, and this is a man who had owned multiple BMWs before. Since buying it, he has driven nearly 31,000 miles. Over 14 months, the only repair was a steering boot replacement. That was it. What makes this Lexus so special is something many buyers do not realize. Underneath, the GX 470 shares most of its core engineering with the Toyota Land Cruiser Prado. Same body-on-frame construction, same reputation for a tough drivetrain, and the same Toyota reliability mindset, only wrapped in a quieter, more refined cabin. Under the hood sits the famous 4.7-liter V8, known as the 2UZ-FE. You will also find this engine in the Toyota Land Cruiser 100 series and the first-generation Toyota Tundra. Many mechanics consider it one of the strongest V8 engines ever installed in a mass-production vehicle, with 235 horsepower and 320 pound-feet of torque arriving low in the rev range. It feels smooth, relaxed, and confident. Towing capacity is around 6,500 pounds. A cast-iron block, multi-port fuel injection, natural aspiration, and a proven mechanical layout are exactly the kind of ingredients that helped Toyota build its reputation in demanding places like the Australian outback and parts of the Middle East. RepairPal gives the GX470 a reliability rating of 4 out of 5 stars. Average yearly maintenance costs are estimated at around $620. In my shop, when the engine and transmission have been properly serviced, I often see owners closer to $400 a year, and here is the important part: the engine and transmission are rarely what create the big bills. The real weak spot is somewhere else, and you absolutely need to check it before buying one. These are the things I always inspect first. Number 1, and by far the most important, is the rear air suspension. Turn the key on and listen closely to the compressor. If it runs for too long, be careful. Then leave the SUV parked overnight and check the next morning to see whether the rear end has sagged. That is the main trouble area on an otherwise extremely tough SUV. Replacing the air springs can cost around $1,400 per side. Fortunately, there is a long-term fix: convert the rear suspension to traditional coil springs for about $800. Once that conversion is done, the issue is basically removed from the equation. It can also be a very useful point when negotiating the purchase price. The second must-check item is the timing belt. Unlike many Toyota engines that use a chain, the 2UZ-FE uses a belt. It should be replaced around 90,000 miles. If there is no proof it was done, plan on spending about $800. Finally, inspect the rear hatch hinges closely. Over time, corrosion can show up there and cause the rear door to sit slightly out of alignment. My advice is simple: look first for a GX that has already had the rear air suspension converted to coil springs. That helps you avoid the biggest common expense tied to this model. Who is the GX470 perfect for? Anyone who wants Toyota Land Cruiser strength without paying Land Cruiser money. Anyone who tows regularly. And anyone who wants a premium cabin without taking on the kind of repair costs usually connected to luxury SUVs. But if you cannot keep around $1,500 set aside during the first year for a possible air suspension conversion, the Toyota 4Runner from the number 3 spot is probably the smarter choice. It uses a similarly strong foundation, but with simpler mechanics and fewer luxury features that may need attention later. Now we have reached the number 1 spot. And for me, the winner is obvious: the second-generation Toyota Highlander, built from 2008 through 2013, with the 3.5-liter V6. And I want to be very clear about that. I am talking about the regular V6, not the hybrid. If my own mother asked me tomorrow which SUV she should buy to drive for the next 10 years while keeping repair costs as low as possible, this would be the first one I would recommend. 2 years ago, a retired teacher named Patricia came into my shop. She was 71 years old and had recently gone through her second hip surgery. Her son came with her because getting out of her old Ford Explorer by herself was becoming harder every month. Her budget was around $13,000. I found her a 2011 Toyota Highlander Limited with the 3.5-liter V6, about 91,000 miles, leather seats, heated seats, 3 rows, and a price just under $12,900. The day she came to pick it up, she sat in the driver's seat and stayed quiet for about 30 seconds. Then she looked at me and said something I never forgot. She did not have to pull herself up, twist awkwardly, or search for something to hold on to. She simply sat down. 2 years have passed since then. Today, that Highlander has about 124,000 miles. The only expenses have been a cabin air filter, 2 oil changes per year, and a new battery. Just a few weeks ago, she told me she wants to keep that SUV for as long as she is able to keep driving herself. So why does this Highlander deserve first place? Because under the hood sits one of Toyota's most proven engines from that era. The 3.5-liter 2GR-FE V6 belongs to the same engine family used in the Lexus RX 350, Toyota Venza, and Toyota Sienna. Very few Toyota V6 engines have been used for that many years, across that many models, in that many different real-world conditions. With 270 horsepower, it has more than enough strength for family use. More importantly, it keeps the formula simple and durable: natural aspiration, multi-port fuel injection, and a long-lasting timing chain. It is paired with the U660E 6-speed automatic transmission, a gearbox with a strong reputation after years of use and millions of miles on the road. The entry height is about 19 inches, which makes it one of the easiest three-row SUVs from its time to live with. On top of that, the Highlander can tow up to around 5,000 pounds. Its body design also works in its favor. Toyota intentionally gave this generation slimmer front pillars to improve forward visibility. Based on how it drives, you can tell older drivers were clearly part of the audience Toyota had in mind during development. This Highlander feels easy to control, simple to understand, and reassuring in everyday traffic. Another major advantage is its unibody structure. Unlike true off-road SUVs with a separate frame, the Highlander drives more like a large, comfortable sedan while still giving you the higher seating position and interior space people want from an SUV. RepairPal gives it a reliability rating of 4.5 out of 5 stars, placing it among the best midsize family SUVs in its category. Average yearly ownership costs are estimated at around $490. In my shop, many well-maintained examples stay closer to $330 per year. I personally know several owners whose Highlanders have gone well beyond 250,000 miles with the original engine and transmission, simply by keeping up with regular maintenance. Before buying one, there are a few checks you should never skip. The most important is the VVTi oil line. On some models built from 2008 through 2010, Toyota used a line with a rubber section that could leak as it aged. A service campaign replaced that part with a metal version. Open the hood and look for the line on the driver's side near the upper part of the engine. If you still see a rubber section, the update may not have been done. In that case, set aside about $300 for the repair. Next, inspect the cargo area for moisture. As these vehicles age, the rear hatch seal can allow water to enter, and it sometimes collects near the spare tire area. Also check the third row seat mechanism. After around 100,000 miles, it can become stiff. In many cases, a proper cleaning and fresh lubrication are enough to bring it back to normal. My personal advice is clear: focus on a limited model from 2011, 2012, or 2013. Those model years came with updated transmission programming, higher quality leather upholstery, and a memory function for the driver's seat. That might sound like a small feature, but in everyday life it makes a real difference, especially for older couples who share the same vehicle. Press one button, and the seat instantly returns to the perfect driving position without any extra adjustment. So who is this Highlander really built for? It is an outstanding choice for drivers over 60 who have been told an SUV is no longer practical because of mobility concerns. It is also perfect for anyone who wants 3 rows of seating without climbing into a massive full-size SUV. And if your goal is to buy one dependable vehicle, keep it for years, and spend as little time as possible thinking about repairs, this Highlander checks every box. Who might be better off with something else? If you regularly tow more than about 5,000 pounds, the Toyota 4Runner is the better fit. But for the vast majority of drivers over 60, the Highlander is still the SUV I would recommend first. So there they are, 5 overlooked SUVs that deserve far more attention than they get, especially for older drivers: the Ford Escape, the Honda CR-V, the Toyota 4Runner, the Lexus GX 470, and sitting at the very top of the list, the second-generation Toyota Highlander. None of these SUVs are designed to impress the neighbors. None of them rely on oversized touchscreens or flashy technology to stand out. Instead, they offer something that many modern SUVs seem to be moving away from: proven engines, dependable engineering, and a driving position that makes getting in and out comfortable, natural, and effortless. The next time a salesperson tries to steer you toward an expensive crossover with a small turbocharged engine and only the basic features, remember that there is another option. Take a walk to the back of the used car lot and look at the SUVs everyone else is overlooking. More often than not, those forgotten models turn out to be the smartest long-term purchases, and if you would like to see which used pickup trucks I would confidently recommend to my own father, I have already put together a video covering exactly that topic. You can check it out right here. After spending 23 years working as a mechanic, I have learned one lesson that never seems to change. The vehicles the market tends to overlook are often the ones that provide older drivers with the greatest comfort, the fewest surprises, and the most satisfying ownership experience over the years. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel for more honest, practical automotive recommendations that can help you make smarter buying decisions. Take good care of your vehicle, and it will take good care of you for many years to come. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.